Hello active traders, this is Ken Calhoun, Day Trading University and TradeMastery.com with another video blog post here for our readers looking at what I call pullback pivots in our current markets. And this is a really good pattern I've found works repeatedly in a number of different situations. Here's what you want to look for. And this is a 1 month daily candlestick chart. Put up your standard moving average 50, 100, and 200 MA lines. And what you want to look for is every time it pivots off of one of these, always look for a new breakout on a cup pattern high continuation. Let's take a look at another example. Home Depot, another time. Every time you see it, it'll do a breakout. And if you're one of those traders like me, where frequently we may miss an initial breakout but still want to be in on a continuation trade, these provide really good trading opportunities once they bounce off of the nearest moving average line. And this can be either the 50, the 100, or the 200 simple, not exponential, but simple moving average line. And every time you see this pattern repeat, it can provide decent trading setups. Here's another good example for a swing trading chart with LEN, linear. As often occurs, you may have missed the initial breakout following a cup pattern new high. But that's all right, because the pullback pivot play is there every single time it bounces off of that support line, right? And this is a good example for how to trade out of box ranges, even if you miss the initial breakout play, which would have been right here. You can see it'll frequently bounce off of the previous resistance level and then travel upwards. And even if you miss the secondary trigger, there's still a third entry here, right? Because this moved up. This is high 1, 2, and this is the third right side of a cup pattern, and right off of that pivot would be a decent breakout play. So this is a really good pattern to put in your playbook every time you think you may have missed out on a breakout play. I typically have not liked trading pullbacks, but in this market I'm finding that a very specific pullback pivot pattern that I teach traders how to trade is one that you really want to pay attention to. Here's another good example, one of Seagate. And here, what I want you to do, the easiest thing to do is simply mark out major cup patterns. And for example, here, let's say you missed here. Now this one did not pull back all the way to the previous resistance. So we missed out on this range. Let's say you didn't get in here right over 31. It did break to new highs, but never did pull back here to test. But during this congestion region, it did provide ample opportunities to look for potential pullback pivot entry. And one of the things that I teach traders about is how to use that and how to spot those type of patterns for yourself, because every time you see a pullback, not just a pullback in an uptrend, that's oftentimes a fade or will not work out. What instead you want to look for is what I call a pullback pivot play. And there's a couple of technical signals you want to look at when you're looking at this particular trading setup. Here's another good example of one that I've been alerting my traders to for weeks now in Tempur-Pedic, and this is a good example of a pullback pivot play right here. So here's the initial cup pattern. Here's the cup, the left side of the cup, the right side of the cup, the congestion or the handle on the right side of the cup, the breakout, then a retracement that came back down to previous support, and that becomes repetitive support above which any new entry looks good for a breakout. Also, if you're a momentum trader like I am, and you're looking at how to scale into or position size into a trade, say for where the second trade would be, you can use that pullback pivot for trade entry 1, you can use that for trade entry 2, and then a straight continuation breakout trade for trade number 3. And let's say even if you miss trade number 3, where would you put your long trigger for a next play? Well, I would put it if it bounces down, let's say it sells back down here to 32.5 and then starts to bounce, that would be yet another place to look at a potential entry for another long play. So do you see how this works? It's a really good pattern, because what it does for you as a trader is help you selectively focus on these pullbacks during these trends and be able to combine things like the standard moving average lines, as we see here in Adobe and Home Depot, right, as it pivoted off of those nearest MA lines, as well as looking for trade setups in some of these strongest charts in today's markets in case you miss an initial breakout. The pullback pivot strategy that I teach is a really good way to get in on secondary and third plays and so forth to build a position during a swing trading run.